Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going deep on new species discoveries.
Exciting.
Yeah, this is really cool stuff. We've got this scientific paper. It's brand new, and it details a dozen.
Wow.
Yeah, 12 brand new weevil species. And get this, they're all discovered across Asia.
That's pretty incredible. I mean, weevils are everywhere, but to find 12 new species
I know.
in a place that's,
That we think is pretty well studied.
yeah, supposedly well studied, it's pretty amazing. And what's even more interesting is where these weevils were found.
Oh.
Not out in some, remote jungle,
Right.
but actually kind of hiding in plain sight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, within existing museum collections.
You're telling me these tiny beetles have been sitting in drawers for, I don't know, how many years?
Who knows how long?
Right. Just waiting to be discovered. That's wild. So our main source today is this study. It was published in the journal ZooKeys.
Great journal.
And the researchers used some pretty cool technology to finally unveil these hidden gems.
It really does highlight how important these collections are for, ongoing scientific discovery. Like we have this library of biodiversity.
Well, that's a cool way to put it.
Just sitting there waiting for the right tools and the right expertise to unlock all these secrets.
Okay, so before we get too far, can you remind us, what makes a weevil a weevil? I know they've got that distinctive snout.
Right.
But, what else sets them apart from other beetles?
So you're right, that elongated snout, which is called a rostrum, that's like the defining feature.
Okay.
Weevils are actually a type of beetle.
Okay.
And they are incredibly diverse. I mean, there are thousands of known species.
Wow.
And they come in all shapes and sizes.
So cool.
Some are considered major agricultural pests.
Oh, yeah, right. The boll weevil.
Exactly. While others play really important roles in their ecosystems.
So what was the thing that sparked this particular weevil investigation? Did the researchers set out specifically looking for new species? Or did they stumble on them by chance?
It seems like a bit of both, actually.
Yeah.
They were examining weevils from a specific genus called Aphanerostyphus.
Aphanerostyphus.
Yeah. Try to say that 3 times fast.
I'm not even going to try.
And these weevils are known for being really small and flightless.
Okay.
And the researchers decided to use this cutting-edge technique called X-ray microtomography.
Whoa, to
Yeah.
get a closer look at the weevil's anatomy. Now, I know we've got some science folks listening in, but for the rest of us, can you break that down? What is X-ray microtomography?
So imagine you can see the skeleton of a tiny insect without having to actually dissect it.
Wow.
That's essentially what this technology does.
So cool.
It creates these 3D images of the internal and external structures
Oh, wow.
of a specimen.
Ah,
And it reveals these incredible details.
that you couldn't see otherwise.
Exactly. It would be impossible to see with the, traditional methods.
So they're basically digitally dissecting these weevils.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
That's so cool. What did they find when they peeled back those layers?
This is where it gets really exciting. So by combining this high-tech imaging with traditional methods like DNA analysis and, examining all the physical traits really carefully, they were able to distinguish 12 distinct species
Get out.
that had previously been lumped together as one.
Whoa, hold on. So weevils that were once thought to be a single species
Right.
were actually 12 different species all along.
All along.
That's mind-blowing. How could they have been overlooked for so long?
Well, it just shows you how even these seemingly subtle differences in morphology can be really important for telling the difference between closely related species.
Right.
And in this case, they found variations in the weevil's cuticles, which is like their outer layer,
Oh, okay.
and differences in the shapes of their rostral canals. Those are the protective channels that house their snouts.
Oh, wow. So there's a lot more to these weevils than meets the eye. But before we get into those specifics, I want to go back to this idea of new species discoveries. What makes it so significant? Beyond just adding a name to a list.
Well, every time we discover a new species,
Yeah.
it adds to our understanding of just the incredible diversity of life on Earth.
Right.
It helps us understand those relationships between organisms and their environments, the process of evolution. It even has implications for conservation efforts.
Yeah, that makes sense. So discovering a new species isn't just about giving it a name.
Right.
It's about understanding its role in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, its place.
And I'm guessing that's even more important now as we're facing, all these growing threats to biodiversity.
Absolutely. Every species represents this unique set of adaptations and genetic information that could be the key to solving problems in the future.
Like what kind of problems?
I mean, developing new medicines to understanding how ecosystems actually function.
Oh, wow.
Losing a species before we even know it exists is like losing a piece of a puzzle that we're still trying to put together.
That's a really good analogy.
Thanks.
It really kind of brings home the importance of this kind of work.
Okay, so we've got weevils are more than just pests. New species discoveries are crucial, and technology is playing this big role in revealing all this hidden biodiversity.
That's right.
So where do these new weevils fit into all of this? Are they just another group of tiny beetles, or is there something special about them?
Well, 2 of these newly discovered species were actually found in Japan.
No way.
In Japan?
Yeah, so that might be interesting to our listeners.
Wait, so 2 new species right here in Japan?
Yeah.
This is getting personal now. Tell me more. Where were they found?
So one of them is named Aphanerostethus japonicus.
Aphanerostethus japonicus.
Yep, and it was found in Yanbaru National Park in Okinawa.
Oh, wow.
It's a good reminder that even in areas that we think are, well explored,
Right.
there are still discoveries to be made.
Okay, hold on. So you're telling me someone could be like hiking through a national park and unknowingly cross paths with a creature that's brand new to science?
Absolutely.
That's mind-blowing. Okay, what about the other Japanese weevil? What's its story?
That one is called Aphanerostethus magnus.
Okay.
It's a bit bigger than Aphanerostethus japonicus, but still pretty small. And interestingly, it wasn't found in Okinawa, which suggests that even within a relatively small country like Japan, there's a lot of diversity in these weevil species.
So we've got 2 new weevils, both from Japan, but from different locations. This is already shaping up to be a fascinating deep dive.
It is.
And I have a feeling we're just scratching the surface. What else did the researchers uncover about these newfound weevils?
Well, this is where those X-ray images really come into play.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about these weevils being flightless?
Yeah.
Well, the study revealed something pretty fascinating about their evolutionary journey.
Towards losing their wings.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm all ears. Let's talk weevil evolution. But first, I think it's time for like a quick recap to make sure everyone's on the same page. So we've got 12 new weevil species.
Right.
2 of them are found right here in Japan.
Right here in Japan.
They were discovered using, all this high-tech imaging.
Exactly.
And this discovery highlights how important specimen collections are.
For sure.
And, this ongoing search for biodiversity.
Absolutely.
Okay, now let's get into the evolutionary side of things. What did they find out about these weevils' lost wings?
So it turns out that the loss of flight, it's not a uniform process.
What do you mean?
The researchers found that different species of Aphanerostethus, they've lost their wings to varying degrees.
Wait, so some weevils are more flightless than others?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, tell me more. This sounds like a fascinating peek into evolution in action. What does that look like in these weevils?
It's like they caught them in different stages of this process,
Oh.
Some species have practically no hind wings left, just these tiny remnants.
Wow.
And others still have partially developed wings.
Okay.
But they're not functional for flight.
They can't fly with them.
Nope. And then there are those in between with varying degrees of wing reduction.
So it's like a snapshot of evolution in progress.
Exactly.
You've got these, closely related species. They all descended from a common ancestor that could fly.
Right.
But over time, they've adapted to their environments in slightly different ways.
That's right.
Leading to these variations in wing development.
Exactly. And it raises the question, why give up flight in the first place?
Yeah.
What kind of environmental pressures could have led to this?
Yeah, seems counterintuitive, you'd think. Being able to fly would be a huge advantage.
Totally.
For a tiny insect. Especially a weevil,
Right.
Allows you to escape predators, disperse to new areas.
Right.
Why give that up?
Well, think about the environment these weevils live in.
Okay.
They're often found in leaf litter or under rocks,
Right.
places where flying might not be so beneficial.
Yeah, might not be as useful.
Yeah. In fact, it could even be a disadvantage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, strong winds could blow a flying weevil off course
Oh, I see.
and make it hard to find food or a mate.
So in those cases, staying grounded might have been a better strategy for survival?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy how evolution works in these subtle ways.
I know, it's fascinating.
But I'm wondering, did the researchers find any clues about the specific environmental pressures that might have driven this flight loss?
Well, the study didn't really dive into the specific reasons behind it
Okay.
for this particular group, but there are some intriguing possibilities.
Oh, like what?
Well, some researchers believe that flightlessness can evolve in environments where flight is no longer advantageous,
Okay.
like on islands or in areas with really strong winds.
So, like, getting blown off course would be a real problem.
Exactly.
Okay, so that makes sense. But there must be more to it than just wind.
Yeah, I think so.
Are there any other potential benefits to being flightless?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So losing your wings can actually free up resources.
For other things?
For other things.
Yeah.
Like producing more offspring.
Oh, wow.
Or developing stronger defenses.
I see.
Think about it. Wings require a lot of energy to develop and maintain. If flight's not essential for survival, those resources can be redirected to other traits.
That might be more helpful.
Exactly. Traits that might increase their fitness.
In that particular environment.
Exactly.
So it's all about trade-offs, isn't it?
Totally.
Give up one ability
to gain an advantage.
Gain an advantage somewhere else.
Yeah, and the fact that we see these different stages of wing loss within this group.
In the Ephemerostathis?
Yeah, it suggests that this evolutionary transition is still happening.
It's still ongoing.
It's a dynamic process, you know.
That's so cool.
It is.
Different species. But I want to take a step back for a minute and talk about the technology that made this discovery possible.
Yeah.
This X-ray microtomography.
It's amazing.
It seems like a total game changer for studying, tiny creatures like weevils.
It really is. It allows researchers to examine these specimens in such great detail without damaging them.
Right.
Which is crucial when you're working with rare or delicate species.
Yeah, makes sense.
And because the images are digital, they could be shared.
Oh, cool.
And studied by researchers all over the world.
So anyone can look at them.
Yeah.
Wow.
It fosters collaboration and accelerates discovery.
It's like having a virtual museum of weevils.
Right.
Researchers from anywhere can access these 3D models.
That's right.
Zoom in on specific features.
And digitally dissect them.
It's amazing.
It's not just about weevils either. This technology has the potential to change the way we study all kinds of insects.
Wow.
And other small organisms. Think about the possibilities for rediscovering and re-examining specimens from old collections.
That's a good point.
Who knows what other secrets are hiding in those drawers just waiting for the right technology?
Yeah, it's like having a new set of eyes
COVID.
to see the natural world.
Yeah.
But speaking of seeing things in a new light, I can't help but wonder what else we can learn from these weevils. I mean, their flightless evolution is a fascinating example of adaptation.
It is.
But what does it tell us about the bigger picture?
That's a great question. So the loss of flight is actually surprisingly common in insects.
Really?
It's happened in lots of different groups.
Wow.
Often in response to very specific environmental pressures.
So understanding why and how these weevils lost their wings could provide insights into broader evolutionary trends.
Exactly.
And that knowledge could be applied to other species, helping us understand how they adapt to changing environments.
Exactly. By studying these seemingly simple adaptations.
Like losing wings.
Yeah, we can gain a deeper understanding of the forces that shape biodiversity.
Wow.
And those intricate relationships between organisms and their environments.
So these weevils, despite their small size and seemingly insignificant lives, are actually teaching us some pretty big lessons about evolution.
They are.
And the interconnectedness of life.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that every species has a story to tell.
It really is.
And that even the smallest creatures can play a crucial role in the grand scheme of things.
It's a humbling thought.
It is.
And it kind of underscores the importance of investing in scientific research.
For
and
sure.
Protecting biodiversity.
Absolutely.
We need to understand these stories, not just for the sake of knowledge, but for the sake of, preserving the incredible diversity of life on our planet.
That's right.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the new species, the technology that made their discovery possible, these fascinating evolutionary insights, and the broader implications for understanding biodiversity.
For sure.
But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier. The importance of specimen collections.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on why these collections are so crucial for scientific discovery?
Yeah, absolutely. So specimen collections are like time capsules of biodiversity.
Wow.
They provide a tangible record of life on Earth.
So we can look back and see.
Exactly. We can track changes in, species distributions.
Oh, wow.
Their morphology.
Okay.
And even genetics over time.
Wow. That's incredible.
And they're essential for identifying new species.
Like our weevils?
Like our weevils. And for understanding those evolutionary relationships between different groups of organisms.
So it's like having a library of life.
It is.
Where each specimen is a book.
Yeah.
Filled with valuable information.
I love that analogy.
But I've heard that a lot of collections are facing challenges,
They are.
like funding cuts and storage limitations.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of impact could that have on scientific research?
Well, it's a real concern because these collections are irreplaceable.
Yeah,
Losing them would be like losing a vital part of our scientific heritage.
that's a good way to put it.
We need to advocate for their protection and their funding if we want to keep making, these groundbreaking discoveries
Right.
and understanding that intricate web of life.
So it's a call to action for all of us.
It is.
Scientists, policymakers, even everyday citizens.
Everybody.
To recognize the value of these collections.
For sure.
And ensure their preservation for future generations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because without them, we risk losing not just the specimens themselves,
Right.
but also the stories that they tell,
Yeah.
the knowledge that they hold,
Mhm.
and the insights that they offer into, the grand narrative of life on Earth.
It's a sobering thought,
It is.
but it's also a reminder of the incredible power of scientific curiosity
It is.
and the importance of continuing to explore, discover, and protect the wonders of the natural world.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I think that's a good place to stop for part 2.
Yeah.
So join us next time for part 3, where we'll wrap up this amazing journey into the world of weevils.
We've certainly had our minds blown by these tiny little weevils.
I know, right? They're so much more complex than I ever imagined.
It's amazing what you can learn from just one study.
Right. Especially when it involves cool new technology like that.
And a group of organisms that's as diverse and fascinating as weevils.
Totally. I mean, it makes you realize that even in a world that feels like we've explored it all,
Right.
there are still so many mysteries out there.
Absolutely. Just waiting to be uncovered.
Like right under our noses.
Exactly. And that brings us to a really important point for our listeners.
Okay, what's that?
Given how much we're still discovering,
Yeah,
even in seemingly well-studied places like Japan,
right.
what other wonders could be lurking in those unexplored corners of our planet?
It's a good question. I mean, what other new species or crazy evolutionary adaptations are just waiting to be found?
It's enough to make you want to grab a magnifying glass and head out into the wilderness.
Seriously.
And maybe that's the biggest takeaway from our deep dive today.
What's the...
A renewed sense of wonder
Yeah.
and a deeper appreciation for just how diverse life on Earth really is.
Absolutely. I mean, we've only just scratched the surface.
Right.
And every new discovery reminds us how interconnected we all are.
It really does.
So to our listeners, we say,
Keep exploring
keep asking questions.
and keep your eyes peeled for all the amazing things around you.
Because whether it's a tiny weevil in your backyard or a mind-blowing scientific discovery,
There's always something new to learn and appreciate about the natural world.
and until next time, keep those explorer spirits burning bright.